This is actually breaking right now.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So much so, it's one sentence. Biden, quote, Putin not joking about tactical nuclear weapons, Armageddon risk at highest levels since Cuban Missile Crisis.
So exciting.
Well, hold on. Maybe people might need that pot.
Yeah.
Let's think about it.
Don't write that off too soon.
Do they have marijuana linked to it, iodine pills?
Right?
They're going to start giving out Marinol and potassium iodide, and they're going to be like, the first one is to help keep you alive by protecting your thyroid. The second one is to chill you out.
So you need to chill
Keep
out.
calm.
I think that fear of nuclear war benefits the military-industrial complex. So if Biden is functioning as a mouthpiece for that, or if he's just completely an NPC, just afraid of like normal everyday stimuli that like the more intelligent, evolved people can kind of see around and understand the basics of.
I don't know. The White House will walk this back tomorrow.
Yep.
He used the word
Every day.
Armageddon. I mean, like,
time.
you know, Peter Ducey or whoever is going to be in the press, but, you know, like, are we headed towards Armageddon, Karine Jean-Pierre? And she's going to be like, blah, 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 and she's going to flip through her notebook and
then she's going to say something that's like, well, you know, Armageddon, that's a word, and words have
word,
meanings.
yeah.
And when a meaning is brought up, people have to wonder, why? Because Armageddon, that's an interesting thing to say. And then they're like, okay, I don't, what? And she'll be like, I answered your question.
She has the Obama cadence. She'll be like, we very much does that a lot.
we
like
believe
Biden,
in the president.
but-
Buttigieg
but-
does that
President's
a
been
lot.
very
Buttigieg.
clear, and he's been very clear from the
That's right.
beginning about what we've said, about what we believe and what we want to do, and Armageddon, you know.
But you're missing the snoot when she does it.
Yeah.
Barack Obama
Sure.
does the listen. But what she does is she does that and she like, closes her eyes and looks down like that.
Yeah.
You're so stupid. You really?
I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Pete Buttigieg does it too. It's real annoying. Like Obama spawned a genre of politicians that say and talk like this. There's Karine Jean-Pierre, Buttigieg. I think
Edge.
what's his name? Buttigieg. Yeah, I
Those
gotta
are
say his
people
name
who
right.
don't believe in
Beto
anything,
O'Rourke a little bit.
and who are biding time in their mind to think of the lie. That's people who need that many pauses.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
she's
they
doing.
They have no foundation. They have no beliefs that just spill out. They just
Absolutely.
all politics.
That's how you know Ben Shapiro is the most honest person ever. He talks so fast. It's just like there's no opportunity for him to think of anything.
it goes straight from the heart out his mouth. Doesn't even
Yeah.
touch his lungs. Just
I feel like that's actually a fair observation because he does speak very quickly and very directly. And I don't think that speaking quickly is a marker that you're telling the truth because we've known a lot of people who can really spin really fast. It's actually really impressive. But it's possible that telling the truth is just easier and it makes it quicker for
Yeah.
you to access those
Comes
ideas.
natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice, right?
I found that releasing my past secrets on YouTube videos, it was humiliating, but I've got like 100 of them where I'm just talking about my past and my secrets, and all of a sudden they didn't pop into my head in the middle of conversations. I didn't have to remember or think like, was I lying or am I hiding something here? You can just kind of flow with whatever.
yeah.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to make me a promise that if a nuclear strike is imminent where we live and there is no escape, I want you to stand atop the van, driving full speed, holding American flag while blasting "It's the End of the World as We Know It" by REM.
Go.
You like that song?
Well, I mean, for this scenario, yeah.
It's the end of the
It's a
world.
good
While
song.
we hide in the bunker with our iodine pills.
No, I'm saying I don't want Ian to die in a blaze of glory unless there's no other choice, but then it would just be the greatest endings, to any story ever.
Oh yeah, when Power 108 turned into 107.9, the end, they played that song for 24 hours in Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
What?
What's up, dogs? If you're from Northeast Ohio in the 80s, you remember that night.
It was I remember, because I'm from Chicago, Q101 changed. It was like a rock station. It turned to like talk radio or something. And then it just flopped miserably, so they changed it back. But my favorite thing about Q101 is that I'm sure even today, I don't know, I haven't been to Chicago in a while. I'm sure they're still just playing Stone Temple Pilots. Like they never stopped playing 1990s music, like 92.
Because that's the people who are listening to the radio. I mean, who else is listening?
They never
to the radio?
changed?
Yeah.
This is interesting. Cultural stagnation, not just in that, because I grew up. You put on Q101 in Chicago, and they're playing grunge, and it was modern. And then 10 years later, they're still playing these songs with some new music. And then it's 20 years later, and I'm just like, man, they're still playing, Stone Temple Pilots and like Pearl Jam and stuff. I bet they're probably still doing it today if they exist. I don't know. I haven't been there. But then I'm just looking at a lot of these bands. I talked about this a little bit the other day, that you're surprised they're in their 50s and they're still making new albums.
Yes.
And why is it that
311, or I don't know if it's new.
well, I mean,
Still touring.
yeah.
You know.
But yeah,
I mean,
But why is it that back in the day, at a certain age, the music stopped? Like you were too old and you were just like, well, we're going to shift, and do something else. They'd become record producers. They'd work in the industry. Now it's like 50-year-olds still putting out albums. Like, what is that? Is it because they don't have families?
Well, they did. Like the Eagles went for a long time. The Beatles broke up. The Stones,
but
obviously.
Obviously, the Stones, the
A lot
Beatles,
of times
they kept playing.
Death will change. Like Zeppelin lost their drummer, and they were like, we're done.
But I think a lot of it is that obviously if you're like the Beatles, you never stop. Your market is working. But a lot of bands fell out of favor with the current trends. But for some reason, I think it's simple. The internet. It used to be that if the radio wouldn't play your song anymore because it was outdated, they'd be like, look, people don't want to buy this stuff anymore. That was it. You're off the radio and now you're retired and now you're a has-been. These days, it's like, I got followers on Spotify. Don't need to stop at all. The radio is meaningless. So now it's just...
You can always be big somewhere.
Yeah, we went to Hot Top. We were at the mall and we walked past Hot Topic. On the window for Hot Topic is the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
I'm like, yo, that movie's 30 years old.
From the 80s.
No, it's 90,
okay.
93 or 4 or something like that. I'm like, it's a 30-year-old movie. And young kids I'm like, everyone in there's a young person. I couldn't imagine when I was a kid walking into the mall and there was a store that didn't pretend to be a retro store selling everything from the 60s.
Yeah. Well, I think there's nothing, you talk about cultural stagnation. There's like nothing really new coming out anymore. Movies, TV, music, it's all rehashes. There's nothing original. Art's in a huge slump. And so I feel, people kind of are sticking with the people who innovated in the 90s, 80s, 60s, 50s.
There is actually a new show that I think is really, really good that I've been watching
Rings of
recently.
Power?
For no.
Yeah.
It's been a couple months now, and man, the stories are just compelling. They're funny. They make you laugh, make you cry. Starring Ian Crossland, by the way, Cass Castle. It's a great show.
I got emotional
Pretty
at
smooth.
the end. Did you see yesterday's episode? It's touching. We've integrated some powerful music. Just a great scene
ending?
with Chris and I at the end. Me and Chris, like a
wanna
leaf
spoil
falls off
it,
the
but-
tree as we're shooting. It's like a leaf actually fell off the tree in the middle of the shot. It was just so natural. It was so beautiful.
Wait, you're not talking about this week's episode. You're talking about
this
the
week's episode, like yesterday's episode.
Civil War.
Yeah, the end of Civil War. The shot is stunning.
Oh, yeah.
Stunning, cinematically
I don't want to
beautiful.
spoil anything for anybody.
But yeah, I highly recommend going to timcast.com and checking out the Cass Castle series because it is new and it's hot.
So people only watch what they already like. They don't want to see anything new. So that's why The Office just keeps getting replayed over and over again. So there's no reason to do things. It used to be that there was a finite amount of space and these networks were trying to be fresh by making new things. But now it doesn't matter anymore. Look, I just watched Breaking Bad for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Ooh.
And now I'm about to finish Better Call Saul, which, to be fair, Better Call Saul did just finish. But these are like old. Breaking Bad was old. It took me 10 years to watch it.
I watched The Sopranos a couple of months ago. Loved it. Incredible. But again, just like you, it's all old.
There's too much existential stress on people to be creative these days. I think if you're stressed out, it's hard to be creative. Like in the 90s, people didn't care, man. They were doing heroin. They were just like rock and roll until they died. Those dudes, like.
Well, I also think too that with streaming and with the internet, content has increased exponentially. We've never had more volume in terms of content than we have now. But the talent pool for writing, acting, creatives has not grown at all. So it's all spread out more thin, So you have a lot more content, much less quality. And so it's really hard to find, The Office, for example, there really hasn't been a comedy that has come out since The Office that has matched that.
Well, there was one
Cast
called
years?
The Office. Remember? The Office came out, and then they made another one called The Office. Yeah, the British one came out. It's called The Office.
right,
Ricky
right,
Gervais,
right.
and then they immediately remade it because it's like cultural stagnation. They couldn't even think of a new show. They just remade The Office.
Yeah, but
it was still good, but it was just a remake.
And it could never be made today. You watch old Office episodes, you'd never see that.
Oh man, 30 Rock. In the first season, Tina Fey, she's playing Liz Lemon, says that she tells her friends she voted for Obama, but she actually voted for McCain. Imagine a modern SNL show where the main character says, I tell everybody I voted for Hillary, but I actually voted for Trump twice. No way they would ever allow that. That joke would not fly.
Yeah, The Office Diversity Day. I haven't watched The Office, but I just watched the small clip of that. That would not be okay today.
Yeah, I want to do for Cass Castle.
But it was
I wanna do
brilliant and hilarious, and I loved it.
Some racy stuff. I think that we can. I
Oh,
think that we can do it.
I can't spoil
tastefully.
anything, but we do have We have a special guest coming out next week, and we're working on one of the most hilariously offensive shows we'll ever do.
Yeah, I wrote a scene for it last night.
And I can't say too much, but it's in line with what Luke was talking about, Diversity Day. So it has to do with the company and how all the employees have to go through training, and it'll be really, really funny.
Dude, Cast Castle's legit, man.
This is going to be like shockingly offensive to a lot of people.
It keeps getting better. Next, I want to upgrade our sound quality so it's the same room tone everywhere. So it's like the same sound. You don't hear differences, and the same lighting. So once we get a sound and lighting rig, it's basically expanding. I think what we need to do is establish that it's good enough to keep doing. And then once that's established, we build out the crew.
I think we need a showrunner. Somebody who's got experience having done shows like this before can come in and be like, A, B, C, D is what you're missing, and then we're good to go, consultant or something like that. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.